Torres Vedras, a municipality located in the Lisbon district, is one of Portugal's lesser-known areas of pure magic. At first sight, it looks like any well-managed small city, not unlike others in the country, but when you start exploring it, you find yourself falling in love with its breathtaking beauty, unexpected utility, and incredible history that you just would not expect to find. And that's what we're going to have a look at today. What makes Torres Vedras such an interesting place, and why it deserves a little more attention than it tends to get. Torres Vedras is located in the Oeste region, around 50 kilometres north of Lisbon, and the municipality stretches all the way from its inland countryside to the Atlantic coast. And that geography is one of the things we really love about it. You have the city itself, surrounded by rolling countryside, farmland and vineyards, and then within the same municipality you have coastal communities such as Santa Cruz with its beaches, cliffs and Atlantic coastline. So, although Torres Vedras feels very much like a small Portuguese city, you're never particularly far from a completely different landscape. You can be wandering around the historic centre one minute, driving through vineyards and countryside the next, and then find yourself looking out over the Atlantic. And that gives the municipality a rather unusual combination of things. For instance, the name Torres Vedras is thought to derive from the Latin Torres Vedras, meaning old towers, referring to ancient or ruined towers or fortifications. The earliest major organised inhabitation in the Torres Vedras region dates back to the Copper Age in the 3rd millennium BC. As with so many other regions in Portugal, it was later occupied by the Romans, followed by the Visigoths and the Moors, and then ultimately taken during the Christian Reconquista, with the definitive date of capture traditionally cited as 1148 on the 15th of August. While Torres Vedras may feel like an established little city today, when you wander around, it doesn't really feel like a city. This is because it only officially received that designation in 1979. Before that, it was known as a villa, despite having a rather substantial historic pedigree. At the same time, Torres Vedras is bigger than it feels. Its population is much bigger than you'd expect. That is because the municipality of Torres Vedras covers about 407 square kilometres and has roughly 83,000 residents according to the 2021 census. However, that number is slightly misleading when you're imagining the city itself, because the municipality contains 13 freguesias and a lot of countryside, villages and coastal settlements, with roughly a quarter of that population living in the city. And that's part of the charm. It feels like a collection of communities, countryside and coast, with Torres Vedras itself acting as the main urban centre. And you can actually live here. One of the things that surprised us the most about Torres Vedras is just how well developed it is for ordinary living. You've got a host of supermarkets, independent shops and a large shopping centre. You have cafes and restaurants seemingly everywhere. So lunch and dinner are very much taken care of. And you have the sort of everyday services that mean you don't have to keep heading into Lisbon every time you need something slightly more complicated than a loaf of bread. There are pharmacies, clinics and hospitals, including both public and private healthcare options. And that is something that can be easy to overlook when you're looking at smaller Portuguese towns. Torres Vedras isn't simply somewhere that's pretty to visit. It has the infrastructure to function as a proper regional centre. But it isn't all shopping centres and supermarkets, because where Torres Vedras really punches above its weight is culturally. There are multiple establishments dedicated to the arts, history and literature, including museums, cultural spaces, a municipal library, and the Centro de Arte de Criatividade. And I think this is where the character of the place really starts to emerge, because Torres Vedras doesn't seem particularly interested in just being another commuter town outside Lisbon. It has its own identity, its own history, its own traditions, its own cultural life. And one of the biggest expressions of that identity comes every year in the form of Carnival. Torres Vedras is famous for having what is often and affectionately called the most Portuguese carnival in Portugal. There are references to carnival festivities going back to the 16th century, while the modern organised version with its matrafonas really took shape during the 1920s. The sad truth is that we missed this year's carnival, but please expect a video on our channel dedicated to all its glory next year. Then there is the wine. Torres Vedras sits within the Lisboa wine region and has a long-standing relationship with wine production. The surrounding landscape is dotted with vineyards, and wine isn't simply something produced somewhere else and sold here. It's part of the agricultural identity of the area. And honestly, when you drive around the municipality, this starts to make perfect sense. The landscape is beautiful, but it's also incredibly productive. You've got vineyards, farmland and agricultural communities surrounding the urban centre. This means Torres Vedras is not just somewhere to live, but somewhere that produces. Then there's the coast. This is probably one of the best surprises if you're looking at Torres Vedras purely as a city, because Torres Vedras has an Atlantic coastline. The municipality stretches out towards the sea, spanning from Balmatown Beach in the north to Praia Azul in the south, taking in places such as Santa Rita and Santa Cruz. And Santa Cruz is almost a different world from the city itself. You've got beaches, dramatic cliffs, ocean views, coastal walks, restaurants and all things you'd expect from a Portuguese Atlantic resort. In Torres Vedras you have this rather lovely situation where you can have the convenience of a proper urban centre, countryside and vineyards around you, and the Atlantic Ocean not too far away. It is not a big city, nor is it a tiny rural village. It is not a Lisbon suburb. It's not a beach destination. It is all of those things and then more. Hidden between wine country and the icy cold waves of the Atlantic, with a cultural and historical identity all of its own. And all of this is just modern day Torres Vedras. Just wait till we investigate the history, which is so expansive we had to dedicate a video to it. Thank you for joining us. We will see you in the next one.